Good morning and welcome to St. John's. On behalf of the vestry, which is the church's leadership team, we are glad you are worshiping here today. If it is your first time here, or perhaps your second time and the first time you felt embarrassed and didn't fill out a welcome card, please fill out a welcome card and put it in the offering plate or hand it to a minister. We would love to get to know you better. And if all that you see in the pew in front of you is a pledge card, well, I just encourage you to do as the Spirit moves you. As you may have seen in the bulletin, the St. John's Music Society kicks off its season this afternoon at 4. I don't want to steal any of Father Mark's thunder by providing more details, but what I want to note is that the Music Society is the result of Aaron's hard work and musical vision. Aaron, thank you. Thank you for enriching our community with the Music Society. You may also be aware of next Sunday's performance by the St. John's Players, a collaboration between our music, family, and youth ministries that brings joy and illumination to our service. You are also likely aware of the transition we are experiencing as we prayerfully seek a new rector to walk with us as we live into God's calling, as described in our recently released parish profile. And if you are a keen observer of the St. John's calendar, you may have noticed the Social Action Ministry holiday sale on October 29th. It perhaps will be beginning to look a lot like Christmas, far in advance of Thanksgiving. Each of these ministries, music, family and youth formation, social action, and our calling a new rector, enriches our congregation and helps us live into the communion of saints. So many of you have told us through personal comments, survey responses, and your presence and care how much these ministries mean to you. And we are so thankful that that is the case. Each of these areas reflects an investment St. John's has made or will be making. In music, we have added effort, and you can see the harvest. In family and youth, we have added significant effort, and you can see the harvest. In social action ministry, we have added resources, and yet you can see there is so much more to do. For our new rector, we have significant expectations related to the quality of preaching, teaching, and reaching, or pastoral care and outreach to those who aren't compelled to use three-word rhyming schemes in talks. And we also face the reality that our new rector is most likely to be married with children and will be relocating from their current home to our famously affordable housing market. In a time where mortgage rates are headline news, but not for good reasons. In short, we find that these things that we cherish, value, and perhaps expect require an investment on our part. Importantly, these things all come from people. Our music ministry comes from Andy and Aaron, with, of course, an enthusiastic assist from our wonderful choir. Our family and youth ministries come from Lou and Chris. ChatGPT can be many things, but it cannot be our rector. At least not yet. So our investment is in people, not in things. Our investment is in people who give their all to our parish and its ministries. It is in people who deserve health care and to live within a reasonable commuting distance of our church. Now, by this point, you have perhaps realized that this is a stewardship talk. I know without one last week, you were lulled into complacency by those cheering on both the marathon runners and Pastor Stephanie's sermon. But do you know what else is a marathon? Living into God's calling, becoming the body of Christ. We do not do this alone. Recall Christ saying, "I am with you always to the end of the age," but others cannot do it for us. The stewardship materials note that our budget is increasing by $200,000 from $1.1 million to $1.3. What are these funds for, you might ask? Well, they are for the staff who deliver the programs we value. They are for a competitive salary for our new rector, so we can call someone truly wonderful. They are for health care for our clergy and staff. For several years, we have had staff and clergy vacancies that have kept our costs low, but that itself has come at a cost. I have not spoken with any families who prefer a leaner family or youth staff. I have not spoken with any fellow parishioner who prefers a leaner music staff. And I have not spoken with anyone who thinks our preaching should be less engaging, or who thinks that we should add a motion to vacate to the church canons. We want our music program. We want our family and youth program. We want to serve the neediest in our city. And we want a rector who inspires our hearts and engages our minds. We want these things so that we can become who God is calling us to be. And at last, we have these things in abundance. We are fully staffed. Thanks be to God. But to keep these things, we have to fund them. And to fund them, each of us has to prayerfully give, not just this year and next year and the next year, but the year after that, and as long as we as a congregation feel called to be what our parish profile says we are. Our parish is wonderfully generous, and we have proven that in our response to events. The Marshall Fire Fund, the Ukraine Giving Campaign, and our Solar Panel Fund all are wonderful examples of our parish's generosity. You may have noticed in the Weekly Eagle that for the first time this year, we are behind year-to-date in giving, both compared to this year's budget and last year's performance. And you might also have noticed, should you have scrolled to the end and have an affinity for charts, that as we get to the end of the year, our monthly giving budget increases, consistent with historic trends of strong end-of-year giving. So can we close the gap? Well, we've been generous before, and our vestry, clergy, and staff have faith that we will continue to be generous. So we know that we are a generous people. We know what we are being called to be. We know that living into this call takes sustained generosity. Please be generous during our pledging season. Let us close by reflecting on the blessings we have as a parish and by praying for abundant giving, using the prayer in the bulletin or in the bookmark in front of you in the pew.